Hello and welcome to the third episode of Stogies with Bogies. We got Jonathan Camp with us. We got 2 for 3. Couple last minute cancellations. Well, that's all right. I guess I'm just not that important. I got to get bigger. I got to get more than one view a week, and we have to do a little bit better about just getting the word out there, man. Getting the good word out there. So
You got to get more than I saw one thing is like you got to get more than 20. I guess 20 is like 20 podcasts is like the number that like most
yeah.
people don't make it to.
Well, and I forget who said that. Someone was giving advice about where to go to, and I heard the same thing. It was like you just got to do it, and I've been struggling at that recently, man. Life. It's still my secondary hobby. It's not even my first hobby.
What's your first hobby?
Uh, Using golf clubs and digging holes in the golf course.
Okay, that's fair.
But I haven't even done that recently, man. It's just been work. No time for hobbies. So what are you gonna do? Well, episode number 3 was really gonna be about Christianity, religion, the history of it, what we're doing with it, how we see it in the world today, and we're gonna have Ryan Labrador and Jimmy Jones on again, but they couldn't make it unfortunately, so we can still talk about that, man. I haven't talked to you in a while, so just feel free to get after it. I mean, I, the biggest the biggest thing with me, obviously, the Pope passed away, Pope Francis.
Yes.
Um, sad day for the church, but also a good day because now you get to change. You get to see where the church is going to go in this crazy world that we're living in. Because Pope Francis did play a big role, and I kind of didn't realize growing up how much the Pope actually, um, I guess, gives advice to non-Catholics. I mean, he was very active in the world, um, and and especially in the politics of it, the cultural politics of it, which is what politics has unfortunately become. And everything's tied to culture and emotion. So instead of just talking about X's and O's policies, you're talking about religion, you're talking about me personally, you're talking about my family, my mom, and now it's just not gonna. Everything's just together. You can't. It's hard to change people's minds and get people to see two things at once. It's either black or white, and it's not what we want. So does the Pope passing have anything to do with you? Do you guys recognize that or are sorry for it?
Uh, I mean, I saw it. It's definitely it's a big cultural thing in general. I think. I only saw. I don't know if is there two other popes up for the position. I saw like a post about it.
Yeah,
Or is there like a pool of people they pull from, or I don't really know about much about that.
yeah. There's typically like a a couple of cardinals that are up for it, and I think they're looking at two of them as front runners because they're kind of each side of the spectrum of what you would call the Pope. Um, I don't like that they do that because it makes it political. It's kind of like the Supreme Court justice. Like you're not supposed to make it political, but it is. And then same thing with the church. I mean, Jimmy was going to be fired up and ready to talk to me about, you know, bless his soul and all the things he's done for the church. But Pope Francis was a little bit uh, different than past popes and how we were raised. Um, I've seen a couple things. Now there's a lot of things that you wouldn't call left leaning and very traditional, very Catholic. There's just a few here and there that he'd be a little lenient on. And to be honest with you, I've seen it in the Catholic Church since kind of I was straight in his arrow in high school. I was an altar boy since they would let me, and then I was an altar boy all the way to 18. So before I met you, the year before I met you, I was still an altar boy. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was like my service to the church. I know that's a big thing with churches is doing your part. So that's kind of my part there. I,
Yeah, I was a. I mean, I was a. My choices. I was in the choir up until probably 10 or 12, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But my mom was like, you're gonna do something. So I was an usher from like 12 or 13 till 8 till like I left. So I definitely get that.
yeah, that's big too. So, um, excuse me while I this microphone. I'm trying to see if I can hear my own voice. because I don't currently do that right now. But what are you gonna do? Um,
You have a microphone like in your hand, like
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
okay.
I'm big time now, dude.
You gotta get one of those
I know, but
little
camp. I'd be zoomed out more right now if this is our spare room right now. Man, we're still working on it. It's a hobby, like I said. I can't. We're looking for a 5'3", 5'4" with a little bit of space, maybe an office. Put a little retrofit, put a vent in there so I could smoke inside my own house.
2000 2026.
Big year.
The housing market is I follow a lot of housing guys on YouTube, and everybody's saying like it's getting bad.
And I mean, they got to say something, right? Because all these realtors are desperate to sell houses. These builders I work with are desperate to build them. So there's a lot of supply. I mean, prices
A lot of supply.
they got to get sold, or people aren't going to make money. So what are they going to do? They're going to sell for cheap, and hopefully they sell a lot. So it'll be a
Yep.
big shift. Hopefully,
Big shift.
maybe we can find. Are you looking? Are you interested in gaining
Oh
property?
yeah, the more I'm looking watching YouTube videos of just like random dudes like on the ground doing their thing, and I'm like, well, and they'll show you like the chart, and like all the charts are like mirroring 2008, 2009 when like all that stuff went down. So, I mean, definitely into 2025, beginning at 26, like I mean, you probably could find a decent size house for you know 300, 320.
What? Well, see, that's the thing. We're in this one for like 270 or no 280, and
Yeah,
um, so we're hoping that we don't just like we can break even on this. That's fine. We did some manual labor on it and painted it and made it like a lot nicer than what it was when we were renting it. But just hope we kind of break even with all that money, any interest we paid, and can move on to the next one. Uh, or rent it out. I mean, I'll be a landlord. See if it makes sense because our interest rate's low on this one. That would be the only reason I would consider it. But yeah, man, we're thinking about kids and all the good stuff after you get married. So that's the you can't time it, or I guess you can time it. You can control it, but
yeah,
um, we're trying to time it to see what we can do. But I've been told we need to try to find a new permanent residence or semi-permanent residence before we start thinking about it because our guests stay over there in that room. This one is just anything and everything. It's memorabilia from back in the day. I took this one's new here. I took that from The Office because, um, dude, I was tired of people barging in my office when clearly, if you walked behind my window and before you have to touch my door, you can look in the window and see what I'm doing. It'd be like them right behind me. Dude, they just barge right in, start talking. I'm like, I'm on a Zoom call like this, and they're just barging in. Sometimes about business, sometimes about nonsense. So I'm clicking Control M or Control Alt M, whatever mute is, and I was like, have some feel, guys. So I bought that thing from Amazon, and it didn't even work. I'd put it in the window, light it up. I'd put it above me in my
Didn't
computer, light it up. They just barge right in.
work.
Can't fix stupid, I guess. But well, we were trying to have conversations with clients. But yeah, the housing market's always tricky because that affects me personally as my job. I don't sell houses, but I design subdivisions. So um, it's tough, man, because the whole world, like the whole state of Florida people, and you can probably lump me into this too. Like we don't want any more subdivisions or houses or people. It's too crowded. But um,
I mean, I don't think that's a problem we're going to have though, because it's like a mass exodus from Florida too. That's like part of the problem.
yeah,
That one dude was saying that the age group of like young professionals our age, 22 to 32, 35, a lot of people in that demographic are leaving, and that's like who are normally like purchasing houses. Like older people, they already have their house. They're probably not going
yeah,
to buy another
yeah,
one. So that's what one dude was saying. I was like, it makes sense.
yeah. I didn't realize there was a mass exodus of like working age or young executives that would be like buying that next big house so that other people can come buy the starter houses. Because
Yeah.
I'm looking for that next big house. I don't plan on leaving the state. I like it here.
Yeah,
I'd
I
have to
like
take
it.
another licensing test. I don't want to that or
Yeah.
start a new gig. Hey, me and you do a good enough job. This takes off. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go.
17 more to go though.
I'm yeah, and I'm actually So I'm doing the master's in occupational safety. I'm just starting another certification. It's like the OSHA 30, and I'm doing that now too. It's a 30-hour course, and it's worse than the degree program. Like it's just like I'm just like clicking. Like, oh, this is horrible, but
Yeah, man.
a
Certs.
lot.
I mean, so this was funny, and we're gonna go way off of religion here because I'm just gonna talk to you because I like doing that, but it'll come back up probably.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I was at a public meeting again. I know I always say that and I think I'm hot shit about it, but it's my way to like people watch the news and they see what's going on in politics, and that's my chance to like be in politics.
yeah.
So I'm in I'm in a town here in Volusia. I don't want to name drop because I don't want to be associated with it too much, but I'm in South Volusia, and they have a 20-year-old mayor. You'll
I think you told me about this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, he just turned 20 a little bit ago. He's not 21 yet. Um, he's gone through some accusations um, with underage drinking and things like that in public. And this was after he got elected too. It wasn't like he was a high schooler kid, like we're all maybe guilty of allegedly enjoying
yeah,
a beverage or two before we turn 21. I'm not saying
yeah,
that's he's the devil because of that. I'm just saying if
yeah,
you're running for mayor
yeah,
and you're going to accuse
yeah,
other people of not being able to handle their shit, then handle your shit. But
yeah,
so I'm going there. Um, our plat got denied, which according to law it's not supposed to. Like it's supposed to get approved because of how they set it up to where we go through all the design, all the data gathering, all the surveying, doing all my stuff, the nitty gritty, X's and O's, getting the permits we need, and then we go and have a city council meeting. We have two city council meetings. So we have a planning board and then two city council meetings. They all vote on it, and they vote on it according to how their staff reviewed it, and we got it permitted with them and followed all their laws and regulations. They approved that so that way we could go to construction. So we started construction. The final plat comes back, which is what gets recorded, which is what makes all the parcels on like the property appraiser and divvies up the land. Um, once it's all built, because sometimes things change when it gets built and you got to shift some lines. But nothing, I mean, some things shifted. There's a formatting process for the plat. You get that reviewed, you get it saying, yes, it meets all the formatting requirements. And then right now the project's built. Like it's they're waiting to build houses. They can't divvy up the land, even though the road's built, the lots are built, all the infrastructure's built. They can't get the proper permits and start building and selling houses because they just voted no on it twice. Um, they let's say they have a bad case standing for like if a lawsuit happens, because I mean the property owner's entitled to their right to go to court with it and try to get it battled out that way. It's been going on in Florida for decades, I guess. Um, but they don't have a city engineer. They don't have a city engineer on staff. They consult out to other companies that I haven't been in contact with during like everyday stuff. Like I should be able to call the city and say I need to talk to an engineer to talk about
yeah,
whatever part of your city is, so that way we can get some information or make just some decisions, see what you need, things like that. But I can't do that. I'm talking to the planner of the head of the department, and he's a smart guy and he knows what he's doing. But man, I go to this meeting, all these people are getting up, and there's a web page because there's a subdivision over there that historically flooded in the 60s, flooded every time there's a huge rain event. Well, of course, it flooded bad in these last 2 years and through 3 years, I guess, and the couple hurricanes and severe storms. Um, someone got on video one of our ponds blowing out as it was under construction. The hurricane came, pond blew out. Um, there's no denying that. I mean, that happened. It spilled some water on the land. I don't think anyone's property was majorly damaged by that. No, nothing that appears so. So of course you see that. And then on Facebook, man, there's just comments out the wazoo. There's just anyone and everyone, which by all means I'd be pretty stressed out too.
yeah,
But all these comments are like typical comment sections when people are arguing about things or trying to talk about things they don't know about, which is really all podcasts are. We're just talking about things we don't know
yeah,
about. But
yeah,
I know about this. I know about this. Um,
yeah,
but uh, to make a long story short, I'm seeing parallels in how I and me and you, I know, interact with like the experts that we've talked about. Like, well, the Pope did this. He's been studying Catholicism forever. Me, Jimmy, disagree with his interpretation or his execution. Or, you know, uh, Dr. Fauci, we didn't like how he executed or what he,
Yeah.
kind of that authority fallacy we were talking about last time. And I'm like, man, I'm the authority here. I am the
I'm the adult in the room.
I'm like the military industrial complex. Like I'm the guy that they see interacting with government and taking advantage of it and and just helping scary developer get their way. I'm driving home going, well, shit. That doesn't make me a bad guy, but I
Yeah.
was like, their viewpoint of me is the same viewpoint I have of other factors around. And I just thought, man, that's crazy. They're they're spewing what I would call misinformation, and I have to get up there and
Yeah.
try to correct it or try to provide context so that way
Yeah.
they can make better interpretations. But it's the same thing we're dealing with now. There's a bunch of people just talking whatever shit they want, spewing whatever. The recent Joe Rogan podcast with Dave Smith debated the I want to forget his name. He'll be mad at me if I ever meet him. Oh, I gotta look it up now. But the British conservative podcaster, he was just like, "You've never been to the Gaza Strip. You've never been to Israel. So how can you have?"
Saw that.
Yeah, that guy.
I saw.
And
Yeah.
does he make a good point? Sure. Like you can't have a
Yeah.
full 100% viewpoint of it if you haven't put boots on the
Yeah.
ground. But just because uh is it David?
I think he used the Holocaust, didn't he? He's like, just because
Yeah,
he's like, just
yeah,
because you weren't at the Holocaust,
yeah,
can you not say it was bad?
yeah,
It's like, yeah, yeah, I can.
yeah. And I gotta find his name. Douglas Murray. And he made a lot of good points. I'd like to read his
Yeah.
book, maybe. Like he's a smart guy. Like by all means, it was a good conversation. They got real. I mean, he hit it hard early too. Douglas was like, dude, there's all these non-experts or comedians or whatever you want to call it that are going out there, and yeah, they have good personalities. You want to believe them. They have good stories and it sounds good, easy to believe, and people are doing it, and people are getting mad at Joe Rogan because of it a lot of the times. But just because he gives them the platform. But again, there's there's a line, right? There's like a threshold. Like there's all this information. We have all this internet. We can get whatever we want. But then at a certain point, you get too much and you overthink it. Like at some point, you got to draw that line. I think.
I think it's so like you're saying, like you'll have like an expert over here, and let's say you have like a podcaster over here. They'll say something, it'll go up, the media will catch it, and I think that's where the disconnect is because like let's say specifically like when Rogan, and I never saw this like firsthand, but I guess he was talking about the COVID vaccines
Mhm.
and ivermectin, and they're like, oh, he's saying like people should take horse dewormers, and 5 years later they come back to talk about the same subject. It was like two opposing views, and they sat down in a room to actually talk about it. And it kind of like it always seems to come to a consensus when people sit in a room together and talk about it, even
Yeah.
if they have like opposing views. It's always when like it originally starts, the media gets a hold of it, they cut and splice, and then it goes to the everyday person, and that's where it starts. That's the friction point is the media. Like like I say 80%, 90% of the time you see any two opposing sides sit down and have a long form content. Like yes, they might still disagree, that's fine, but 80% of what they said probably is the same thing. It's 20%, 10% that has been cut and spliced that makes people so angry. That's all it is.
Which
Like,
I mean, which has been the newspapers or the guys yelling on the streets
yeah,
back in the Roman Empire saying things for since eternity? Because that's all they want to say. Phones and the internet and all these things shorten the human attention span. I don't think so. I don't think so.
yeah,
I think we've replaced the hard work and the things you have to do day to day for survival. Like they say, um, who was I listening to the other day? But you know how they create divisions and they give you topics to get real angry about because, like you're saying, there's that superficial like I can make that side and it touches my feelings. Um, shoot, lost the train. Where's the train? All aboard! Come on now, all aboard! Can't man, I can't believe I lost that train. I thought I was feeling good about it too. 'Cause I was going to piggyback on what you just said. It'll come back to me, I guess. But
And I'll say,
Jesus Christ, man, that's bad.
I will only go.
Shout out, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
The religious podcast number 3.
I want to go back to something you were kind of saying again. The media, we all know it's horrible. But I saw. I don't know if you saw the tariff talks, right? All these countries have said they've been talking to Trump. Blah 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 blah. Trump says, "I've been talking with China." China says, "We have had no discussions with Trump." And all I can think about is there are people who just, regardless if you hate Trump or love him, there are people that are taking the side of the Chinese, a country that literally would kill them all if they had the chance. The Chinese Communist Party. I was talking to the coworker. I was like, people like no matter which side is actually right. If you're an American, probably take the side of Americans. Like regardless of what's going on, you're gonna take the side of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party or Communist Chinese Party, whatever it is. I had like a moment of realization. I was like, some people just want to be angry. Like they just want to be mad. They don't care what is going on.
Yeah.
Like they just want to be angry.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
I was
That
saying
was a
I was saying that the other day about like misery loves company. Like that's a true statement. It's a cliche because it's true. People
yeah,
love we love talking to. I mean, we're sitting here complaining about stuff right now, just like a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah,
Right, we're scratching that surface of complaining about what we see because we're like, hey
yeah,
man, you kind of share the same thoughts I do, and we're together.
yeah.
We're together, right? You have that sense
We
of
like echo chambers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You like everyone likes being right. I was telling people the other day, I hate being wrong more than I like being right. That goes back to the whole competitive sports thing. Like you hate losing more than you like winning.
Oh yeah.
I mean, one,
Winning is a relief. It's a
yeah,
relief. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Like being right's like, oh, thank God I was right. Because man, if I was wrong, that'd be tough.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's how it is. So my thing was back in the Roman Empire. Let's just say when there was no middle class and it was just serfs and serfdoms. Um, that you had to grind every day to like stay alive. Like it was hard work. Like you didn't have leisure time. That wasn't a thing. Like you can watch 1883, um, uh,
Yeah.
and those guys are grinding. They go to town. They're like, "Oh, you're selling a washing machine that I need to get electricity from you." It's like the whole convenience thing. I think we swapped
Mhm.
out that grind of survival and hard work with all the other options. Like now we're just flooded with options of either leisure time or other work times. People still work hard for that kind of thing. But like now I work 8 hours a day. Doesn't matter about the sun. I'm not hell bent by the sun. I can work whenever I need
Yeah.
to, and I can do whatever whenever. Like there's a lot less have tos, a lot more want tos, and
Yeah.
I think the attention span stayed the same because those people that had to grind and work to survive, they're like, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for this. So
Yeah.
their attention span was small too, and they weren't really diving into things that weren't sending them forward or keeping them alive or putting food on the table. Now we can now I can go just scroll like this and find 10 different things in
Yeah.
10 seconds and take whatever I can from
The,
it.
they call it existential questions, right? You have time for the existential questions when you're not trying to survive.
Yeah. And it's crazy how that follows the rise and fall of civilizations. Civilizations start getting higher. You start getting those thinkers, that philosophy class. I think podcasting is the new philosophy class. To be honest with you,
Oh yeah.
we're
Without.
a bunch of amateurs at it, and
Yeah.
there's some good thinkers out there, and they're the ones that write the books and do the documentaries and things like that. But
We're amateurs, but so were they.
yeah, that was
Like,
I need to change my bio because I came up with a couple. Amateur philosopher was already on there. I need to put that up there. I was going to tell Jimmy hats off. I guess I hired Krizia when I went over there last time. She just made an Instagram account for this podcast. So
okay.
I guess I didn't hire her because I can't pay her, so I didn't hire. But I guess
She's an unpaid
yeah,
intern.
she volunteered.
Yeah.
Female owned. I get tax credit for that. Part
There you go.
part female owned. Um,
Oh man.
uh, but I was that's when I was coming up with taglines. She put in there life, liberty, and the pursuit of perspective, like on the
Oh,
bio. And
okay.
I said, wow, that's pretty good. Like, where'd you get that? She was like, it was on your thing. I was like, oh shit, that's why it was pretty good. I came up with that
All right.
life, liberty,
That's
and the
good.
pursuit of perspective because
That's good.
Someone asked me once, "What is the point of this podcast?" If I were to come on it, I go, "Well, most of it's just bullshitting around and just talking with the guys because I think that's important." And the second,
That's what every that's what every podcast is.
yeah.
Every good podcast.
Oh, so when you say good, you mean entertaining and intriguing, which means a lot of people, like I watch, like Bob does sports when they play golf together because I'm not playing golf with the boys right now and having fun. They are. I want to see
Yeah.
that. I want to feel like I'm a part of that. Like that's it's silly, but that's what entertainment is. I want to do that. I want to be a part of it. Um.
You're breaking up bad.
Oh, am I really?
I don't know if,
We're back.
yeah, mine's. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It could have been the aliens. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll go
Something.
like this for cut it to here.
Yeah.
Um, what were we talking about? But yeah, the welcome to the show was, hey, welcome to the show. It's episode 3 with me, Jonathan Camp. We're going to talk about religion and life, liberty, and the pursuit of perspective. Got to come up. I don't know if I want to do a scripted one or not, but at the end of this, we do have a new segment presented by me later on. Um, it's called the Deported.
Deported.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the type of people in the country that should be deported
Oh man, I
at the
like
at the
that.
at the end at the end. Yeah, so yeah.
I like
The
that.
icebreakers we're going to do was really just to kind of. I mean, I grew up going to church with Ryan, so that would have been cool to hear him because he was
Yeah.
a rascal back in the day, man. He was just a little
Yeah.
rascal. Yeah, it was. I mean, you've met Jagar.
Yeah.
Him and Jagar were friends when they were playing ball with each other.
Oh
And
really? Okay.
yeah, up at St. John's. When I met Jagar, I was like, yeah, you guys were definitely friends. And I mean, they're both great guys, but they definitely had.
Wait. So Ryan played.
Ryan played at Weber. I
Okay.
think he's St. John's first, and then he went down to Weber or Warner.
So he played at St. John's with Jagar.
Yeah,
Okay, so I played against him too because me and Jagar played against each other.
for
I didn't
sure.
know that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. No, you definitely did play. He was a pitcher. I mean, I think that's what he did
Okay.
only in college. He was good. He threw like mid lower nines. Good little slider in high school. Good little slider. Um, just kind of a rascal, like I said. I think he can tell the story. I won't tell the story, um, but yeah, I was just gonna kind of get your guys' journey on religion and kind of where you're at with it on a however deep of a level you want to get to. I'm not your pastor or anything. I'm by no means a example Christian, but I've had my good and bad days.
Yeah, I've been at church since I was born. My dad got out of the army to start his own ministry in 92. They built our actual church's building, I think at the beginning of 93, and then I was born in November 93. So I've been in that same building like my whole life. Um, yeah, I mean, grew up church every Sunday unless there was a tournament. Then my dad was, that was just he understood that baseball was something I wanted to do, and sometimes you just gotta, you gotta go play baseball on Sunday. That never was a problem.
You know how I justify our family doing that.
Uh,
So we used to show up like in our uniforms sometimes, and our priest loved it.
yeah,
He was a big sports guy, so he loved it. But I justify that with what was going to be my religious conspiracy later on. I'll just mention it right now, but was like Saturday is Saturday, and in Spanish it's Sabado, which means the Sabbath.
Sabbath. Okay, yeah,
And when it says keep the holy day Sabbath, it makes it really hard for me to accept that Sunday is that day. And I'm
yeah,
not as studied with the time and why the calendars changed back in the day, but
yeah.
that's just one of the many reasons why I justified missing church on Sunday. And we did go to a lot of Saturday mass, the Saturday
Okay.
vigils. But yeah, that go ahead, keep going with your.
Uh, and I would say all the way through high school, church, and then I'm definitely biased. I like the way my dad preaches. I don't like really hearing anybody else preach. Truth be told, there's a couple pastors here and there. We would go to other churches, but so I enjoy hearing my father preach. And I guess it's probably everybody, if you're fortunate enough to make it to 2022, there's a growing pain, right? You're trying to find yourself and yada, yada, yada. And then you kind of always, if, if, I think eventually if you grew up that way and you kind of find yourself and you're not a just pure degenerate, you kind of always find yourself coming back. And I definitely found myself coming back later 20s. Um,
Would you say after
and then you
college?
start, yeah, yeah, after college. Um, after I had been in Italy, away from family, that was a big part of it. Like I was alone for 3.5 years, so
Yeah,
kind of that's a big part. Um, and I would say, and then something I think I sent it to you about why was Jesus Jewish? I don't know if you're going to get into that, but
bring it up. Yeah.
I start asking questions, not so much like what is it, but kind of like why is it? You believe what it, I believe what it is, or but like what was what was the creator's thought process of it being the way it is? And I think that's fine to ask.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's bad either way, but like why was Jesus born a Jew? Like what was the master plan? I believe there's a master plan. Yeah, I believe we have free will, but there's a good quote. I don't know if it's a quote. I don't know who said it, but it was like it's like you ask God why, or you ask God like, what's the point of me doing stuff if everything's set in stone? And then God says, um, uh, your life is a book, and some pages I left blank, so like for you to choose. So I kind of like that's kind of like something I think about a lot. Like, is this a blank page? Like, yes. What do they call canon events? Spider-Man, Spider-Verse. Shout out. Some stuff is going to happen in your life, but like you have a choice of like most things. You like, are you going to eat this chocolate? Are you going to go for a run today? Or like the little things. Like you have more. People have more autonomy than they think they do. So, just asking questions like that. And I make it a point to read a verse every day on my Bible app. That's something
Nice.
and it's
What
it,
what 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 translation do you listen to or read at?
New King James version. It's just the one I think I grew up, or
Is
my dad preaching out of. Like
is it was it
I
a,
don't.
a Baptist church that your dad was at, or is it another?
Oh, it's a
Okay,
non-denominational. Yeah.
nice. How,
So
how big of a crowd did you guys garner?
congregation.
Yeah,
On a good Sunday, 80,
that's fun. That's cool.
75, 80 for a good Sunday.
Well,
Yeah, because probably 40.
it's cool to hear that because I'm sure we all, you might have went through it different ways, but I mean, my dad was my coach, right? And I say the same thing is that I never had a coach with maybe the exception of Thurno, who caught me on my worst year of baseball. Um,
Yeah.
was was
Yeah.
up there with him, and I've had like my catching coach and Sam McLean, who I was going to mention him. Um, he grew up in my hometown, was coached by my dad, went to college, played ball, went out and played ball with him in minor league baseball out in Amarillo. I actually was roommates with him for a while out there. We shared a room. But he was the one that gave me a Bible filled with like little note cards and a dollar bill or $5 bill. I have to find them. They're packed away somewhere. I couldn't get them out in time for this episode, but he had a verse on it. And he had why that verse was important to him. And he sent that off to college with me. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And he was at my wedding, mainly for that reason. I mean, I haven't talked to him as much, but real godly guy that way. But he gave me an English Standard Version Bible, and I forgot his reasoning. I know one of the note cards says why he chose that one. It's a little bit in between the old English ones that you would see in some of the Catholic churches, and between what King James did, as far as making it more tasteful, I guess. And
More readable.
that too, yeah, that too. because my mom has an old one that my grandma had from her mom or something like that, and it's "Ye old thou art shall," and yeah, it's. I mean, it's cool. It makes it a little bit more serious. It's kind of like reading Shakespeare, but you're like, wait a minute, what was that? Um,
Yeah, what? Yeah.
um, but yeah, that's cool that you say that you enjoyed your dad preaching because I know a lot of people are like grow up with their dads are the sheriffs, their dad's the pastor, their dad's the coast, and they like it's rebellion. It's the other way. It's this is better. That's cool that you hear that. I'm sure he's happy that you need to tell him that if you haven't. So
Yeah, yeah, I need to talk to him more. I talk to my dad through my mom. That's how we communicate. That's how we always communicate.
my dad's over here in Daytona coaching at our alma mater, and I still don't see him that much. Um,
Yeah.
so, but he's just dude. They're having a tough season. They're having one of our seasons. Your senior year.
I thought they started off good though.
What they're having your senior year. So that was still up and down. Like we would win or lose like 10-9.
Yeah.
Right. It was one of
Okay.
those where the bats would be alive or the pitching would just get raked. That's what they're going through. They're just going through it with so many more injuries. Their injury bug just steamrolling them right now. Yeah, it's bad. He told me all the stories. I was like, dude, I didn't realize you have guys with
Yeah.
actual injury, not like little ow ow boo boos because we're 14 and 37. It's like they're guys breaking collarbones and spraining legs and yeah. So,
Ugh. That's rough.
but yeah, that is cool. Your dad was pastor. But I mean, same thing with me. I think it's that strong nostalgia bug and just what you're used to. But the priests move around a lot. The diocese will move them here or there. The way the guy that married us here in Port Orange, he's been around a lot of places. There's pictures of him talking to the Senate and stuff like that. He was in D.C. for a while, or he would get invited to certain places. But and talking to him more, he's pretty involved in local politics to a point to where they try to almost lobby. It's almost like lobbying from the church's perspective without all the incentives rather than just like it's closer to what God wants. And it's like a morally good thing to do. So I don't mind church lobbying, but as long as it's Christian churches, um, just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Um, but I just didn't realize that. But the church back home, Father Johnson, he was very good homilies, very personable, very well thought out. He could talk. He was a very good speaker. Some Um, some priests are a little bit too robotic or a little bit too monotone, and as good as that is for the older generation, I can listen to that stuff because that's how their teachings was given to them. I need a little bit more intellect and a little bit more personality, and it goes back to the whole authenticity thing. Hopefully, people like watching us, or I like watching people do podcasts because they're just authentic for the most part. I mean, we're shielded a little bit. I'm not saying everything, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you don't say everything all the time, anyways. Um, so yeah, were you done with Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
your church, so you had 80 people in Fort Meade, huh? Good Sunday.
So, well, no. Technically, my dad. So we live in Fort Meade. That's where I live my whole life. But our church is in the next town up, Bartow.
Oh, there,
And
yeah.
it's like out. It's out in the country, which is
Yeah.
hilarious. But yeah, it's like off State Road 60, and yeah, so it's in the next town over. It's 15-minute drive. But yeah,
I remember driving down there when we went to my cousin's wedding, Fort Myers. I drove down there purposefully because I wanted to go through Fort Meade and all those towns. And Rachel was like, "Camp lives here." I was like, "Yeah, this is where this is where the guy's from." That's a watermelon truck. When they're cut off like that, that's a watermelon truck. I love seeing those things, man. I love seeing guys just tossing them in there too. And they're just we walked by
yeah,
we went by one of the gas stations and there's just a bunch of those. Well, I'm not gonna say Mexicans because they're not Mexicans in Florida. Typically, they're like Guatemalans or
Guatemalan,
yeah,
Guatemalan, yeah,
those guys
yeah,
were getting after it, and they were
yeah.
all
We
just
had we had a good amount of Guatemalans. Like
yeah.
when I mean, granted, we had 400 kids in our high school, but like we knew like a good amount of Guatemalans.
It's
Yeah,
Guatemala. It's Central America down there and Cuba. That's
yeah,
I mean a lot of that Dominica. So
mhm,
just yeah, just farm country. People think, oh, South Florida. Yeah, no, oh no, it's still Central Florida. Anything north of Okeechobee, man, it's farms.
yeah,
It's nothing but farms and
yeah.
swamp.
And swamp.
Yeah, I guess I had the same kind of journey as you. Like I said, altar boy, got to college, ruined with Jimmy Jones, brother Catholic. He went to a Catholic high school, so he kind of explained it to me. He was like, "I'm Catholic out, man. I'm churched out. We used to go like once a week, and during the week and all this stuff. And obviously you get a little bit of freedom. You stop, Sunday was our day of rest, literally, because with NAIA rules, man, that first year we were just dogs. We were dogs just working. So that was our like just that was our just let's just take off the day. So I don't think that was bad. We rested the soul, but we would go. We were holiday Catholics. We'd go to the big ones. We'd go here or there if we were feeling like it. Sometimes you had that yearning. And Gilly, Tyler Gillum was Catholic. We'd go. He was kind of the one that was like, "Hey, you want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." He kind of got me back going a little bit more often at the same church that I got married at. So that's the one we still go to today. And then, as you know, Rachel converted, so she went through the RCIA, which is the Rights of Christian Initiatives, and you have to go through some classes. You have to make sure you're learned, and then you say yes, let's sign me up for this. So we're full fledged Catholic household now, which is pretty cool. I mean, she was amazing for doing that, and she's really enjoying going there. And I know it's a big. Her mom was Episcopal or Catholic first, then Episcopal, so all very similar, like ceremonial, um, the mass setting. The Episcopals have different central foundational like structural things, but they say the same Nicene Creed, and they just have lady priests. So that's a little bit different. I I don't know. How do you feel about that without the risk of getting canceled on episode 3? Like women preaching the Bible.
So, I mean, truthfully, I don't really care. I know my grandmother. She was a she was a minister to our church because she was my dad's mother, and that's I mean they always went to church when he was younger. So we had females that preached, taught. Um, I don't I
Someone
mean I don't
Well, I was watching The Chosen, and back then, obviously way back then, like -1 AD, um, that'd be 1 BC, I guess. They were like women can't read the Bible. I mean, women just weren't allowed to even partake in any of that stuff. They just had to listen to
yeah
the Pharisees or whoever do that. I'm like you. If you know your stuff, you know your stuff, men or women. Um, the priest thing, though, is kind of where I draw a soft line. Being a Catholic and being raised Catholic, like it's like you're the father, like you're
yeah
they're the vessel during the ceremony that is what makes it sacred. They're the ones that have gone through it and do the transfiguration of the Eucharist, and now it's the body and blood of Christ. So if you're if you're being a vessel for God, who we see as a father, and Jesus as a son, then I would say it makes sense for it to be the male side of it that way. But then you
yeah
have nuns. I mean, the nuns teach it. The nuns enforce it. They do. I mean, they do a lot
yeah
of things.
yeah
I've only come across a couple when they visited the church. I wasn't like taught by nuns. I think
yeah.
my parents, they were nuns in that church generation before, but they've kind of don't really see them much. I don't hear about them too much. As people our
I would
age.
say kind of like you. I would say like using my dad's church as an example. Like if my dad's like the head pastor and there's like people underneath him and there's like female want to be female pastors, I think it's fine. I do subscribe to like the man's the head of the household because I know I have the right to die to protect what's underneath me. I have the obligation to die what's underneath me. So I'm gonna be
You have the responsibility to do that.
when I have responsibility, therefore I have authority. Same thing in like the military. You can't be responsible over a bunch of people and you don't have authority over them. It just doesn't work. It breaks down. You can't have it. So
Yeah.
that yeah, I subscribe to that. Like if you're gonna be responsible, you have the authority. And I think, men should be the authority because they have responsibility.
Yeah, it's the whole different responsibility and different strengths and weaknesses thing. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's not perfect, obviously, but
Yeah.
because society has changed. You're born as a man or a girl or a boy. It's you can be whatever you want when you grow up. I wasn't told all the time. I was not
Yeah.
told. Um, it was told, "Hey, we know who you're going to marry already."
Which yeah, I I was never well, I mean, do Catholics subscribe? like to that? Is arranged marriages a thing?
No, because
No.
the first thing they asked us when we went and said, "Hey, we want to get married in your church," and there's paperwork, and there's, I think what the way the priest described it was, they kind of lobbied back when Jeb Bush was governor. He enacted in Florida like a requirement to where you have to do pre-marriage counseling if you're getting married in the state of Florida, in a church, or maybe not have to, but there's an incentive to, like, you get a discount on your wedding certificate, marriage certificate. So we did that through the church. The churches, the Catholic churches were already doing that, and a lot of other denominations were already kind of doing that, to where you go talk to them and kind of go over it. But the first thing they
Yeah.
asked me was, "Are you coming here free of will and any other type of outside pressure?" That was the first question they asked both of us. So they
Okay.
make sure that that's the first thing going. So it's not arranged, it's not forced, it's not coerced in any way or from anyone. So that was, yeah. So no arranged marriages. That's one of the biggest differences between Christianity and a lot of other religions. A lot of these other religions and cultures have those arranged marriage backgrounds to where, like, it's almost like you have to. I mean, it's honor your mother and father in every culture and religion, but it's like you don't have an option. The the sense of freedom and free will in Christianity gives you that option to
That
disobey your
that
parents, but not listen. I mean, there's only certain things the parents can make you obey. I think in the guise of the Bible teachings that we learn.
that is one thing I see. Yeah, I guess in my journey and people talking about other religions, it seems that um they're very so like if every other thing is something and there's one thing that's different, I probably want to look at one thing just to see like what's up, right? So it seems like all these other religions are very forceful in their teachings, but through God and Christianity, it gives us the free will to be there or not. It's not forcing us. It seems like a lot of the other religions force a lot of things,
They
whether
well,
it's marriage or like what's up?
my interpretation of it with that, because I'm when it comes to religion, I'm not too worried about hurting other feelings, unless I'm like, I mean, obviously I'm not going to go berate someone or call them or like disrespect to its entirety,
Yeah, yeah.
but I believe in Catholicism, Christianity, so I'm going to stick to that. The free will that I interpret in the way I've heard, you know, the Bible and the stories that we hear about it, is that here is what I expect from you, right? God says, here it is. It's your job to interpret that as a Christian, and it's your job to get yourself to that, right? Yes. Should other people hold you account? Should you hold other people account? Sure. Like, you should preach the good word and spread that. I think the other religions, um, like, even the classic Judaism was a lot of man-made and church-made rules and laws, and I think that's what Jimmy and I were going to get a little bit more into. Was with the Catholic Church, you have those canon laws, you have those canon interpretations from years ago, because it's such a long-standing religion, right? A lot of the Christian denominations are only hundreds of years old instead of thousands of years old. So a lot of these other religions are thousands of years old. That obviously I disagree that they were founded in their God's, like, law and their God's teachings. So, like Hinduism, Buddhism, or any of the polytheistic type of religions, you're just kind of using observation and man's observation of the world and making laws out of it. So there's a lot more, like you're saying, like structured, a lot more checklist type feel of, you have to do all these things in this order, rather than create a foundation to play the game of life
Yeah,
on. You're not
yeah,
like, you got to create that Christian foundation and then play the game of life on it, to hopefully that foundation lifts you up.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely,
That's how
absolutely.
I feel about it. I mean, a Catholic priest may say that's not Catholicism, buddy, but I mean, Catholicism is the difference that I always see, and I had to explain this to my last girlfriend who was Baptist, and we had a very respectful conversation about it. And obviously at that time we were very much into our religions, but I mean, a lot I've gotten it more from just her. It was, Catholics aren't Christians, and I was like, we were the first, literally the first ones, the first Christians. And then there's the Orthodox Church that's over on the eastern side of the globe, and they're only different than the church because they had two different home bases and they have two different cultures of how it's spread because the Western culture went with the Western, the Eastern culture stayed with the Eastern. So you have Eastern and Western interpretation and setup of that original Christian um, church. But I believe it's the Nicene Creed. You ever heard the Nicene Creed? I'll send it to you. It's because you would agree with it. Besides when it says one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, you should most Christians should believe in that statement at the very end of it because it's lower C Catholic. And I forgot what man I had the definition. I forgot what that meant, but the lower C means something else than just the Catholic Church. So it's an apostolic church that the apostles made that they gave Paul the authority to do build the church upon the stone. But I mean, we believe in the good works, right? It's not just by faith alone. That's really the big difference in most Christianities is it's the church setting and the mass ceremony, and some people call idolatry in the Catholic Church, and that's not there. I was never told to worship any type of idol or anything like that. We have
Yeah,
we have figurines and we have things to remind ourselves of that, but
yeah,
people get tattoos, people wear crosses. There's a lot of things that we use to keep ourselves mindful of God. We don't replace Him with those things,
yeah,
um, but that was the biggest thing was the teachings. I know the teachings of God are to do good things and to live like Jesus did and to work out His teachings, but I guess maybe there's no scorecard. I guess maybe you can talk to what your dad said about that in the past of like on judgment day you're going to get called up and I mean he's not going to say I don't know what he's going to say. Well, I'm kind of scared, but hey,
terrified,
yeah, fear of God lives strong in me, that's for sure. So,
yeah,
um,
terrified.
but like,
And
what was your kind of foundation on that? Like, how does Jonathan Camp get to heaven?
dude, I
Put the shovel down.
r- recently, and I don't know what it is, man. I've been uh thinking there's a war coming
What kind of war?
in the and I don't know if it's a spiritual war, I don't know if it's a physical war, but I I have been feeling that it's like I'm supposed to be a leader and I think I lead some people into battle and it's glorious and that's my calling. And that's maybe why I run so much. I just ran like 11 miles before this.
Yeah,
Like I need to be
that's pretty
I
cool.
don't know if I'm preparing myself for something or God's preparing me for something, but um
Well, I mean, you're pretty equipped to run away from the fight if you wanted
you need
to.
you need endurance. What is I think is it Saint Michael? Is it my the angel
Michael the
Michael?
Archangel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I find that fascinating too. That there's an angel that is
Like ready to go.
battle
Ready to go.
battle hardened, battle ready. He's not. I don't think he's malicious in it. Is in his intent, but he's ready to go. He
Yeah,
and
Michael the
yeah,
Archangel.
yeah.
Yeah, like you're saying, he's
I
ready
find
to defend God. Like he's ready to defend the
and
heavens.
that's how I feel. I think I'm itching.
I mean,
Not malicious,
but
but
yeah,
like
no,
you have to.
the, the,
There's a certain
the villains,
there's a certain
yeah, the villains always show their hand first. I mean, that's what it is. The side of darkness will attack first, or they might not attack, but they may push that line close enough to where it says fine.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I agree with you because that's the scary part of the Bible. That last book, man. But there's other prophecies too that I was seeing. I wasn't getting too far into it because I can't learn all the religion in 2 weeks to get
Yeah,
ready for this thing. But like Judaism
yeah,
has prophecies outside of the Bible and the Torah um, that talk about the darkness and that one of the messiahs that they talked about was like Jesus, and then the other messiah was the one that was for war. So the second coming, just like the Bible talks about in the New Testament, is that the second coming of Jesus is war. It's not. it's not a glorious day. It's glorious at the end, but it's not glorious when he shows up and during because it's. I'm even scared to reread that book because I read it one time and I was like, I read it before college. I was like, dude, this is nuts. But no, that's a good outlook. Do you have you sensed that, or are you putting that on yourself to be prepared for it? Like, how did you come to that conclusion?
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, just like it just feels like something's coming, and I would like to be prepared for it. I guess
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. Like maybe it's just my crypto portfolio going through the roof. I don't know, but I want to be. There's a certain, I guess, I don't. A lot of people talk about it. Or maybe we talked about it too. Just like the frequencies of like your vibration, and like you start matching certain frequencies. Um,
yeah.
and the more, I guess, the harder I've been training, feels like I'm elevating to a point, and in my human brain is saying like you would only elevate if there's something you need to match up, kind of. I don't know.
I
It's a
I've been feeling like that ever since kind of the tail end of COVID, and I looked back on it
and
going,
a lot of people were awoken by COVID. I believe
yeah,
that.
by COVID, I
I
agree,
believe.
for sure. Because I mean, we have people, we have literally RFK Jr. in the office that's going, we just banned dyes, foods and dyes, or dyes and foods. We just
Yeah.
banned food dyes because I said a decade ago or years ago that they caused cancer and they cause autism and ADHD. And he was called a conspiracy theorist and he was set off as a crazy person. And now he's the director
Yeah.
of health. And we banned him because they admitted that they cause all those things. I'm not trying to make fun of people, but a lot of parents used to tell me that their kids have ADHD, all this other stuff. I'm just like, that is not a real thing. It's not. It's not because I'm as close to ADHD as it gets, as far as from a
Yeah.
technical standpoint, and
Yeah.
like touch of the tism type stuff. As a kid, I was right there. Did we consume all those things? Yeah, we were lower middle class family that bought whatever was on sale. So of course those cheap foods were poisoning us, but we're all pretty okay right now.
What's even scarier than that, right, is the fact that it wasn't the die thing, but it was the EBT cards, right? They wanted to, and this is on video. They wanted to stop people from buying like junk food with them.
Non-essentials,
You
they're trying to
had
call them.
it was like the American Health Organization or some random guy sitting in this meeting saying, "Oh, we don't want people to have to like there's no link to, junk food and bad health." And it's like it's coming from like I have to find the video. It's like United Health Organization guy, representative or something. And the lady's like, "How are you saying this? Like, are you like completely detached from reality?" And like people are actively it's the matrix programming, right? People actively fight to defend the system that keeps them slaves. And like, how are you're upset? And I'm sure people are upset about that dye thing. Like, they're like, oh, my food's not
Yeah,
gonna have dye in it.
yeah.
Like, it was literally killing you.
The the status quo and the heaviness, the top heaviness of the workforce, we'll see a change. We'll see what I would call a small revolution of industry standard or status quo in a lot of different areas. I think coming up because you're going to have new people getting in charge. You'll have the older millennials starting to take over power positions or influential positions, and then you'll have the Gen X people starting to get in more lines of power rather than the boomers. And that's the only time I'll say boomers, and it's in a very technical term, because the other terms are just stupid. But like our parents are starting to get in those roles of, okay, you're the wisdom keepers, tell us your wisdom, and then
Yeah.
their parents are their older siblings are the ones that are now retired and on Facebook and at my public meetings. And they're still defending their like the old way of thought, and that's fine. I have a very large respect for the wisdom of old. I wish my grandpa was still here. I could talk to him about the old days and just about how life was, how it operated, what the hell's going on. Wish I could do a podcast with Bob Eckstein right now, but can't do that. So just you. That's fine. It's good. That's good. He didn't have a mustache, but
Right.
but yeah, Saint Michael the Archangel. Jesus, man, I gotta. But yeah, he's the one ready. He's the warrior, the patron. He's the warrior's saint. Um, so we get confirmed in the Catholic Church. You ever heard of that? That
Yeah. Yeah.
confirmation. So Rachel
Yeah.
Rachel did all that. That was her whole preparation was she was already baptized. So the Catholic Church recognizes other Christian baptisms if you're coming in if you're converting. So you only get baptized once, and I think most
Yeah.
can you get baptized twice in other churches like reborn? What's reborn?
Uh, I mean, I've only been baptized once, and I think I don't ever recall anybody in our church being baptized twice. So
I know people said they're reborn Christian, which means I know they rejoined the church and they're back self-proclaiming to be a Christian, which is great. But I thought they got rebaptized, but I'm not sure. With Catholic Church, doesn't you get baptized once? You're baptized once. Um, but getting a baptism a second time is just going for a swim.
is there a record of that? Is that a thing?
In the Catholic Church, there's records. Yeah, when I was asked to be JJ's godfather, they're like, send us your credentials. So I had to reach out to my old church and say I need a certificate stating that I was baptized, had first communion, and was confirmed here.
Oh,
And
okay.
typically, and the more strict dioceses, they'll ask for like attendance records, like are they actively participating? Are they registered here? So yeah,
Okay. I
Catholic
didn't
the
know that.
Catholic Church keeps tabs, man. They keep tabs.
That makes sense. I just never even thought about maybe my dad has a record in his office. He has so many books in there.
Yeah,
I wonder if he does.
yeah.
I'll have to ask him about that.
We get the records and they give us a candle. So we get our baptismal candle and typically a shawl, and you keep that. So I have both of those. My mom gave me mine to put in my jacket for the wedding, for my baptismal shawl, which was pretty cool. But yeah, they asked for it for both times. Um, 'Cause Rachel had to get hers. Rachel got hers from her. Was she baptized Episcopal? Yeah. So they keep records okay too. But yeah, so you have to pick your saint name. So when you get confirmed, you pick a saint name, and that becomes your name during that ceremony. So when the bishop comes to confirm you at the mass, I was her sponsor, so I was behind her, and I held up a card that had Anne. She picked Saint Anne, who was Mary's mother, patron saint of mothers. Um,
Nice.
I picked. I always remember mine because I've never heard it since. Was Albert, and I didn't pick it to be special. I just picked it because everyone seemed to pick Sebastian, the patron saint of like athletes um and like those kind of
Okay.
athletes and children. I think um, Albert was like of science, and I always thought like that's my biggest wrestle. I mean, I think the next thing I wrote down was like, where are you at today? Where do you want to be? My big wrestle is that intellectual side of it, and all the arguments you hear about that, whether it's atheistic or just questioning, Christian light, um, or creator kind of mode versus that. So St. Albert was real big in the church with the science community, and he like contributed uh, findings that were used in both communities in conjunction with each. So I still think, I mean, if I studied the universe more or studied things more, it's created. Like I think it's very hard to say it's not created. Very hard, especially with what we talked about like 2 episodes ago was God's a creator. We were made into his image. Christian, Muslim, whatever, whatever. We love creating things. We love building things. We love innovating things. That's one of our biggest differences as humans than any other species is we can build stuff,
Yeah.
right? We can build stuff, and we like doing it. So I, it'll be our downfall when we build AI and new life and try to be God. If we try to be God, we're gonna die. But that's okay. You could
Yeah.
say that God has died in cultures every now and again, and He sends water or fire to correct.
Part of the journey is the end.
That's true. That it's not a journey if there's no end, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
I think I find
What
that
what what
fascinating
it, what
too.
is it? What is it if there's no end? That's scary.
Yeah.
That scares me. Stop!
Yeah.
Stop! Stop! Stop!
Yeah.
Stop it!
There's I'm a big movie quotes guy. Love movies because I that was Iron Man actually. Part of the journey is the end.
The
Uh,
first one?
but no, or not. It was in game when he died.
Oh, but RDJ.
His hologram. Yeah. Um, but I thought this was brilliant. I don't know if you ever heard uh first Spider-Man movie, Tobey Maguire and the Green Goblin. The Green Goblin is talking to him. When he like beats him up, he's on a roof and he says, I chose my path, you chose the path of the hero. In that speech, and I ain't gonna pull up, but he the way they wrote it, and they didn't knew they were doing this, but that speech is what I imagine God saying to Jesus before he came down to earth. Because he says, and this is my belief. I believe God is just, he is the all knowing being. And another sidebar quote from Superman, Lex Luthor says, if God is all good, he can't be all powerful. And if he's all powerful, he can't be all good. I love that quote, but I think a lot of people think that, but that quote that quote wants to highlight that we know what's actually good. Because, like, oh, there's a tsunami in the Philippines. Why didn't God stop it? Maybe that wasn't a part of his plan that he has created. Yes, bad things happen, but are they bad in intent? I think is what I'm trying to say. Because I think God's all powerful. But the Green Goblin, he says they'll be amused with you for a while and they'll cheer for you, but at the end they'll be happy that you failed. And maybe not for me and you, but like I think for a lot of people, oh, I think for a lot of people, we're happy to see a hero fall. He's on a roof. Oh, it's that top left one. Yeah. Oh. You got YouTube Premium? Um, but I just imagine this scene. Uh, it's a this is a precursor to Harvey Dent's character in Batman when they say you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. This is the precursor to that. This scene. Uh, if you want to play it, probably a little. You're getting pretty good at this, man. Pulling up YouTube. You got split screens. It's pretty good. Oh, I can't hear you now though.
What about now?
Okay,
I
yeah.
was just on mute. I'm Jamie and Joe Rogan combined, man. I'm both of them.
You're doing good, man. This is
Man,
that's not sweet.
and the Green Goblin.
We're not going to
Green
lie here.
Goblin, you like that?
That's
Mr. Jameson. Made it up myself. These weirdos all gotta have a name now.
Mr. Jameson, Spider-Man.
I don't know who he is. That's what made this country.
Can't hear it, can you?
Jameson, you slime.
An amazing creature, Spider-Man.
Here?
You and I are not so different.
I'm not like you. You're a murderer.
Well, to each his own. I chose
Here?
my path, you chose the way of the hero. And they found you amusing for a while, the people of this city. But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother?
Because it's right.
Here's the real truth. There are 8 million people in this city, and those teeming masses exist for the sole purpose of lifting the few exceptional people onto their shoulders. You, me,
Not so much in
we're
this part, but
exceptional.
not so much that end part, but
Yeah.
the middle part. I just imagine like, yeah, this. I'm not gonna call. I know. Well, at least I believe Jesus is a part of God, but you have this hopeful this hopeful part of him. I'm gonna say I'm not maybe not the right word, naive part of him that believes so much in humanity that he's willing to come down and die for us. And God's just like, I know it all. I know their true nature. He knows the nature of humans. We have good, but we are sinful. But yeah, I saw that and I watched that video over and over. It's like, man, like a dialogue like that. It had to be something like that between like, Jesus and God when he was getting ready to come down or whatever. So yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a perfect. It's why there's so much hate for God and disbelief in God is that
Yeah.
he's done. He gets all the good and bad blame, right? He's the ultimate. He's the ultimate deity, so he gets everything good and everything bad. I think is it Sam Harris who's the atheist kind of debater, and there's a couple other guys. I think it's
Oh
Sam Harris.
gosh.
There's these guys who go around. They have these theological debates, but I think it was Jordan Peterson who was talking on a Joe Rogan podcast about it just in general because he's a pretty biblical guy. Um, he was saying the easy thing to do is to blame God for all the bad or blame him for inaction on making bad things not happen, but to to the world is a dichotomy for the most part, right? Good and bad, day and light, up and down, land and water. So, or three. You can look at three things, right? There's the Holy Trinity, so there's three things of everything. Um, for there to be God, who is all good and all seeing and all powerful, there has to be an opposite to that, fighting against it. So it plays into the free will nature of it. Like we have the ability to go do good or do bad right now. I mean, like we could go out, leave my room and kill someone or help someone.
Yeah.
So and we can't be stopped. We're just told God's like, here are the laws. It's your job to follow them. And if you don't, you know what happens. If you do, you know what happens to you. Like so, um, I mean, there's an end game. So if you don't believe in heaven or hell, or that there's consequences to your actions, which is hell is the ultimate consequence, then you're going to do whatever the hell you please. And it's going to affect however it happens. God said here, earth go boom. Right? If God was all powerful and all controlling, we wouldn't be in the situation we were in, and we would be NPCs. God would be the video game player, and we would all just be NPCs.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the devil does. I think the devil takes control of people and makes them NPCs, and they're just doing all the crazy stuff. They're not harmless NPCs like you see on video games. They're more detrimental to the game itself.
Yeah.
They go around and start clicking links to all the emails they get, and they get spam and viruses and stuff. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's there's just a lack of respect for the discussion in general and the possibility of a God. I think from a lot of people. So even having the respect to have that discussion and thoughtfulness and being able to describe why you don't believe there's a God and that you're just going to die and become dirt in the ground and bacteria, then that's fine. And you just go on. It just life goes on. What's the point? Like in a very playful way. What's the point? Because that sucks. That
Yeah.
sucks.
No, I agree. I agree. And I don't know if I said this on here, but maybe to a coworker. But I was talking to my mom, and I was like, or maybe it was Logan Malfers. Shout out to Logan Malfers,
Bump.
uh, whole teammate. But I was talking to him. We were having, I think we were eating chicken wings at Hooligans when he was down here, and I was like, man, like he had asked me why I start running so much, and I was like, man, there's nothing else to do. Like, like
Yeah.
And I remember talking to mom too. I was like, what is there to do besides like degeneracy? I've had my fair share of fun all across the continents, but like, really, if you're not going to work out, work, what else is there? Faith, obviously, we both believe that it's your faith. You feel in that you have to fill that spare time with something, and that's where a lot of people get
That's
lost.
the other cliches, right? Idle mind is the devil's playground. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
if you start looking for stuff, you're going to find trouble first.
yeah.
That's typically how it works. So it is tough out there, man. I find myself falling in that trap too of getting home and not do it, just being idle, right? I mean, we both work hard. We make dinner. We do the household chores, whatever. And we just get on and get going for the next day in that rat race. So maybe I'll start running. I ignored your Saturday before Easter 5K. I don't know what you I don't know what you did on qualify.
I know you did. I know. It's all
You
good.
went $5,000. Maybe I can work that happen, but nah, it's something that I might take you up on the next offer. Who knows? You may have to
I
turn
was,
around and run an extra 2K to bring me back and forward, but I'll make it.
and I was actually talking to AJ Mazurko's sister, Rachel. God bless her heart. Because she asked me about running. She wanted to start running. And I was just like, just do a mile a day. Like, just do a little bit. I mean, that's what I'm doing with my Bible now. I read one verse a day. But that's how I started running, like 1 mile. And like now I am ecstatic when I only have to run 3 or 5 miles a day.
So that was
I am so
that's cool. And like you feel bad when you miss it, right? Like you feel like something's missing.
yeah,
That's cool. And
yeah.
that's you created a good habit.
Absolutely.
The other
Yeah.
Ryan brought it up the other day. Because I didn't call you. I feel bad. I owe you an apology. The last time I tried to schedule one and I had to back out that week for one of these things. I called Jimmy, and I called Ryan first, and I called Jimmy. And then by the time I was done talking to Jimmy, I was like, damn, it's 10 o'clock. I don't know what camp's up to. I didn't want to call you or something. I don't know what your bedtimes are these days, but
Yeah.
I was going to call you too just to like catch up with you guys because that's half the reason I'm doing this.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
I
get it.
spent hundreds of dollars to get equipment just to talk to you guys.
Just to talk to my friends that I can call. Yeah, yeah.
Make it seem less silly than what it is because I miss you guys. I miss the boys. I miss the
Absolutely.
boys, but um, I was just calling and catching up. But Ryan does his Bible. I think he does not maybe not a Bible study but he does like the young men or men for God on Wednesdays or something, which is pretty cool. Um, I always like those aspects. I don't know if I'd like doing it with strangers as much. I know it's the whole point is to kind of branch out and do all that, but maybe that's something we do is that on top of this, maybe we do like a quick 30-minute or a quicker version of, or a long version of just like a Bible study, bring a verse in or we tell each other to read a verse and, let's hash it out. 'Cause I've seen Antoine, you know, Antoine Brown.
Yeah, yeah. I see him at we go to the same gym.
Nice.
I'll run into him every now and
Dude,
again.
ask him if he wants to be on one of these things or something. Cause he does his own podcast, I think for,
I
Coach
did.
Brown.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
So that'd be
yeah,
cool. Help each other out, talk to each other, get each other to that 20th episode. He does a lot.
yeah,
That man's motivated, man. I've always liked him.
yeah.
Um,
He started running too.
that's all that.
Cause
I
I
think
ran a couple.
he's a lot like you, man. He's on the same like. He looks like he's preparing for something.
Yeah, I saw him. We did a half marathon at the same time and a 5K, but then he got injured. I think it was like he had like real bad shin splints.
He's a little older.
So I
He's a little
know he
older.
didn't. Yeah, he didn't do the last one because he has a buddy he runs with, and his buddy ran that 5K that I told you about, but he wasn't there, and I think it's because he was. I think he's still recovering, but yeah,
He'd be a good one to have.
I
It.
do it because I hate it. You
Yeah.
do the things you hate, and
That's why I go to work every day.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think a Bible study would be cool because I used to have my nose in that thing, even in college for the first year and a little bit of the second. I would crack open that thing every now and again. So like kind of the go to bed was my way of praying because you kind of run out of prayers at a certain point and then start getting a little selfish, like, hey God, let me be in the lineup so I can like do good and play good. It's like that's he doesn't have time for that. So that's not gonna help. That's not helping. That's not gonna help society.
Yeah. I think it was it might have just been a quote next to like the Pope's picture. Um it was I guess I don't even know if it was the most recent Pope, but it says something like why do you or the Pope said he falls asleep reading his Bible. And then somebody asked him, it was like, why would you disrespect God falling asleep reading the word? And his response was, didn't you like it as a kid when you would fall asleep in your dad's arms or like something
Listening
along
to a
those
story.
lines? Yeah. And it was like, coming full circle, you grow up. Yes, you want your. I used to fake. I remember faking sleep in the car just so my dad had to carry me in the house.
Yeah.
I did that.
You,
I remember
you
doing
seen those
that.
videos now of parents going, if you're really asleep, his hand will stay up, and they lift his hand. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. But I thought that was good. I thought that was
No, it's
really
a
good.
perfect quote. I mean, it's a great reason to fall asleep reading the Bible. You're falling asleep to the ultimate father stories. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I used to do that too, and it was the same thing. I'd go through and find those. Especially once I found out there was money involved. When the gift that Sam gave me was there's $1 bill or $5 bill at every other one. I was in it reading those, and um, it was just good stuff. And I think it'd be cool to get. I mean, who knows what version Jimmy and Ryan read? You know, King James is pretty popular. Obviously, I think the English Standard. I don't know
Right.
what churches say they use it, but it'd be good to see the different terminologies and interpretations because that's another argument for the atheists is, oh, it's just been interpreted by man forever. And I was like, what hasn't been at this point? You know, so much time has gone by that. Yeah, it could. I mean, same here. But yeah, speaking of the Bible, you got the verse. We haven't even made it out of the second icebreaker, so we'll just stick here. But do you have any verses that you're doing, or whatever verse of the day you're kind of dove into?
My verse today, and I always so on the Bible app, it'll give you the verse, and it's basically like what it says, um, how it's read, whether it's like that OE or whatever you're saying earlier. But then it gives you like a more English version, and I just usually skip right to that.
That's good.
Um,
Good app.
so yeah.
What app is that?
Uh, Wait, what's up?
What app?
It's just the Holy Bible app.
Like the
It's like a red.
little brown. I think that's the one
Yeah,
I have too.
yeah. It has all the different types of Bibles.
Yeah.
Um,
ESV, baby.
but
Check it out.
today, oh, what's up?
I said ESV. Check it out.
Yeah. Mine was First Corinthians 3:7 or ESV,
You don't
maybe.
have to. That's just the English Standard. You can do New King James.
Oh no, that's just I guess. I mean, usually sometimes it changes. I don't know. Maybe I did download. So I did download the English Standard Version and the King James Version. Probably because the King James Version kept make my brain hurt.
Yeah.
1 Corinthians 3:7, it just says, so neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. English version, only God makes things grow. I like that. I like that a lot better.
Yeah. That I looked up something when you were talking about preparing for something and just being ready for it. That was one of the parables
Yeah.
you always say was always have your field ready for harvest. So same kind of thing. Just the guy's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just getting it ready." And then the rain comes.
David Goggins, I'm a big Dave Goggins follower, and he's like, people ask him, like, what are you training for? He's like, I don't know, but I'll be ready.
Yeah. Now I need to get on that train. I've been slowly getting there, but I just need to kick myself right in the ass and just go. So feel free to text me um, words of encouragement, and by encouragement I
Yeah.
mean like idiot stuff like
No,
that. Keep it.
it takes about 2 weeks.
I
You
know.
need
I
you
know.
need 14 solid days.
I know. I know. The problem with I got to pick a path. The problem is I got too many. Too many. I need to simplify and just do it all. Go balls to the wall. Um, one of my favorite verses. It always kind of has been. In high school, I looked it up, and I'm an overthinker by nature. Always have been, and just I get my own way. I go crazy about it. I perfectionist. I used to be probably a perfectionist. I still strive for that kind of work quality and all that stuff, but kind of character quality. But you can't do it. It's impossible. So you have to be okay. You have to be graceful with your failings, and you have to be okay with it. Learn from it. But it was Proverbs 16:9. I found out that I like the book of Proverbs. It has really good um, kind of guidance. I would say guidance and advice. But 16:9 says, "The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps." And the whole 16th um, um, section is good. I had 2 and 3 written down too, which was, "All the ways of a man are pure in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs his spirit. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established." So it's basically just saying, you can have that desire in your heart, and if it's holy, it should be in a godly, holy way for the desire for doing things. It talks about that in the rest of it, but it's saying you may plan that outcome, but man, is your journey going to be whatever it's supposed to be? Like we always say, the God gives his toughest warriors the hardest challenge, and you know your goal is to run 100 miles, but you're going to have a lot of 5Ks and 10Ks and whatever along the way,
Yeah.
33 miles. So it's just one of those
Yeah.
things. It always comforted me. It was just one of those things like, dude, you got it. Keep going on. And I get told by so many people, it's like, and I'm by no means like easygoing, like whatever happens, man. Like I'm not one of those guys at all, but like I don't, I don't pet the sweaty things. I don't sweat the petty things. So that kind of helps me. I do think we talked about my worst year in baseball, which was the Yippertons. Um, I had the stuff that was going on in my head, man. I didn't fully grasp that at the time. Um, then afterwards, I did the less holy version of it, and I just said, "Fuck it." Like that's like it just says, you know what, you got it, you got the plan. Fuck it, God will help me. Like He'll help me out as long as my intentions are good. So I always check my intentions, and that's when we were talking about the other time was when's the stop sign for whatever goal you're doing or whatever you're working on. You remember that guy was saying that sign will come.
Yeah.
So I think in those failings, I've kind of worked on or realized that, okay, I failed. It didn't work. Try again or whatever. But why did it fail? Am I doing this for the right reasons? Is what I'm doing righteous? Is what I'm doing good? And I think that verse kind of hits that answer on the head because we were struggling with that answer the other night. We're like, man, what does that even mean? Are we ever going to get that sign? That sign comes from within. It's going, I mean, what am I doing? Let me reassess my trajectory here. So that's fun. All right, man. We got some good time under our belt. Is there anything else you wanted to reach out and
I
talk
would
about?
say, I mean, this just so that was like my daily one. If I had to, I mean, I know my favorite one is definitely movie again. I know I'm a big movie guy, but Fury. Whenever they're in the tank, he says, Shia LaBeouf says, uh, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord say, 'Who shall I send? Who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here am I. Send me.'" And that's
Oh,
definitely my favorite. It that I watch. I think I have that saved somewhere. Like I love that. Like just being able to. There's something to be said about like wanting wanting to go do something, being okay with doing something that you've been called to do. Um, Another movie, everybody's seen this one, the one Coach Carter. He says, "What's your deepest fear?" He goes through it and he says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. We are afraid to be the one who stands out, but it offers us a chance to let others stand out as well. We just it's a human condition, right? You don't want to be the only one the only meerkat that pokes its head up out of the ground. That's where danger is,
Uh-huh.
right? But if it's something you feel is you have the right reasons, like you're saying, it will once you go ahead and do it, it lets other people know it's okay to do. So same thing with bad stuff, right? People running the wrong or people like stampeding, and we have that follower. We're followers by nature.
Uh-huh.
We were created to follow. Whatever you're following, that's another story. But we were created to follow. So
Yeah, that's well said right there. That's nail in the coffin. We're scared. We're scared of being all powerful because we will live long enough to become the villain. We will, be hated because we've been. I mean, it goes right into the other two you brought up before. So you got some good movie lists. It's funny that you mentioned Fury because Rachel and I were just we're just scrubbing around to see which ones to add to. We got some downtime. Let's watch a movie. But Fury, she was like, I've always wanted to watch that front to end. I was like, well, we're gonna do it soon because that's such a good movie,
it is a
especially with Shia LaBeouf reading the Bible.
yeah that all the and I've watched that movie probably 10, 12 times, 15 times maybe. It's definitely one of my favorite movies. Each character just has so much depth to them.
Yes.
Like yeah, the younger guy probably has the least amount of depth throughout the whole movie. But
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf's character, Brad Pitt's character, John Barenthal's character, maybe less the Hispanic guy. Funny, he's like a comedy guy.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. Maybe his character not so much, but those other characters had so much depth to them, and
Well, I mean,
it was really good
what
watch.
you say that about comedians, and this was something that I was thinking about the other day again, was that as silly as comedians are, and those like guys that are funny, if it's not like this, even the slapstick, stupid, funny guys, like they all got their demons, man. Like I honestly, and this is me tooting my own horn a little bit, but like to be funny, you got to be smart to a point. You got to be like smart enough
Oh
to know
yeah,
how to get a laugh. In
absolutely.
any scene, you have to recognize, oh, people like this. I'm going to do it. How can I do it differently next time so they still laugh again? Um, and you hear so many of those guys committing suicide, and it's just or having those kind of drug problems or drinking problems, and it's kind of crazy. Like
Yeah,
so,
no,
it may not be depth to his character, but I always see the haunted side of the funny stuff because I mean it's my defense mechanism. Make a joke, be sarcastic, and kind of
absolutely.
patch it up, move on.
That's why Andrew Schultz, comedian, shout out. I would love to be on his podcast, but
Yeah,
he is very intelligent.
super. No,
He
that's the biggest thing I respect about him the most is how smart he is.
he wherever and even like if you watch his specials, wherever he goes in the world, he does his research. He finds what do the
Yeah,
locals, what are their lives like?
yeah.
What are they laughing at? Because if he can tie that in, he knows, and he does an excellent job every time. If he can tie that into his skit, not skit, show. What do they?
It, it,
What do comedians say?
I mean, it's a skit. Yeah, I mean, it's routine. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a skit. Their
It's
act,
their show. I
whatever
mean,
you
I
want
think
to
they
be.
call it their show, so it's just their show.
Yeah. So whatever, if he can get that into his act, it always, and you can tell when he says it, like the locals, the people that live there, are just like, I can't believe you know that, and he just, oh man, like granted, Dave Chappelle probably, top of the end, comedians, but man, I think Andrew Schultz, like,
Yeah.
he's been around for maybe 5 years. That he's been big, post COVID,
And it's
but man, if he keeps going,
it,
he's.
do you listen to him on the Joe Rogan show?
Yeah. Because
Yes,
he's been on there a bunch of
a couple
times.
times, and both times he talks about like the journey and like how it is. I mean, you're talking about doing 20 podcasts to get the routine and get it going and all that stuff. You're talking about 20 months plus. You're doing 10 years just to get on the scene and be famous. So it's a lot of hard work. But I'm interested to see on how he changes. He just had a kid, I think a daughter. So
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I like I
He
like
talked about. I don't know if you saw his last special. He talked about the process of that.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's good, and it was good. a lot of people, they go at him because he talks about everybody. He don't care if you're black, white,
Well, that's what I was
Asian,
going to say.
what.
People will see his shows where he does them in certain places and jokes and be like, "You can't say that." Like whatever he said when he went over, but like he does the research, like the respect of it's there to where the people that he says the
Yeah.
jokes to and about, they're like, "That's freaking funny. I love that." You know?
And so this last special, he talks about other stuff, but he talks about him and his wife trying to get pregnant and his shortcomings. And like I mean, half of the show is just saying like I
Yeah.
couldn't get my wife pregnant.
But I mean,
Like
pun intended on shortcomings, or
yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So, but it's really like he does a great job. He's very intelligent. I love watching his stuff.
yeah. I I have a different flavor for his other guest on his show, but
Yeah,
they get it.
they're definitely just his friends. They've been there
Yeah.
since the beginning.
But you're just my friend.
But yeah, I know. But
What?
they
Why wouldn't I name this the Cody Bogart Show? That too. Do you have to be famous first? Do you have to be famous and then get a show and then you name it after yourself? Because that's the brand. I don't have a brand.
I think Joe Rogan, his podcast was called the Joe Rogan podcast from the start. I
But he
think
had already done like Fear Factor and some other things. Like he wasn't
it's fair point, fair point. I guess many people don't call their shows. I guess besides
like Matt Walsh called it. It was the Matt Walsh Show since the beginning when he was doing it in his car. I remember watching a couple episodes when he was in his car doing the show,
yeah.
or like me in my freaking third bedroom with a webcam. But
Yeah, I guess most people don't. I guess
I,
Stogies with bogeys though.
we got to let it
I mean,
ride at this point. I can't change it.
yeah, no, it's good.
Already got the LLC
I
paper.
mean,
Already got the LLC paperwork going. I haven't smoked in 2 episodes, but
I was about to say, dude, you gotta get some stogies, man. You can't
I
be
know, dude.
stogie without, or you
Well,
can't be bogey without stogie.
so I just bought a couple other of these. How does this sound? I can kind of hear
That
it.
sounds good.
I can kind of hear it
No,
in my head. Welcome,
that sounds really good.
welcome to Stogies with Bogey. But I bought a couple of these because I'd love to have an in-person podcast. Man, I would love to get the guys around a
I
table
smoke it.
or
I
outside.
don't smoke cigars, but
I,
I'd smoke a cigar for that.
you'd sit around. You would sit around cigars and tolerate it. It's
Oh,
secondhand smoke.
I've had a couple cigars with AJ Mazurko.
Zerko. You guys watched a shit ton of movies too.
Dude, yeah, that was our thing. I was out up until I'm doing a CPR course Saturday in Orlando, but up until then, I was gonna go tomorrow to go watch The Accountant with him. I was gonna like, hey, The Accountant, the second one's coming out, and I missed my man, so I was gonna drive over to college to go watch a movie real quick. I ain't got nothing to do. Like,
Yeah.
I go run and then that's it.
Do they still got that drive-in theater over in Ocala? You guys can go watch a drive-in movie together.
I don't know.
I doubt they're showing the accountant over there though. That
Yeah,
looks
no.
good though. I like the first one. Rachel loves that movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. They're making I'm a movie guy. They're making a new Tron movie
Hmm.
because I love the last one they made. It was 2008, 10.
Yeah,
But then they're making a new one.
looks like a
We'll
movie I
see
would
it.
like, but I've never watched it.
It's I guess so. There was one in the 80s or 90s with the dad. I can't remember his name, the actor's name, but they made like a 2008 reboot. And now they're making another one, and I saw something that was like, "All right, Disney, don't mess this up," because they just been butchering
Yeah.
films lately.
They
So we'll see.
said the last one was in 2008.
Yeah, 7, 6,
Sign of
8.
an economic downturn. The new Tron movie. You got to consider everything.
Oh,
You got to consider everything.
I'm gonna have to look when the old movie was and what was going on then too.
We probably got off the gold standard. Probably.
Nah, that was or when was that? 73.
Yeah, it was probably Korean War. I don't know when was it?
Our Tron movie, the first movie is 1982. I'm not sure what was going on then, but Tron, the second one, was 2010, so right after the crash.
Oh, okay.
So maybe not.
On the up and coming. So maybe we'll have the crash next year, and then the Tron movie will come out on the way back up. We're like, oh, we can get electric bikes now. That'd be fun.
There you go, man. There's always something.
You got a Christian conspiracy?
mean, I think the only thing I don't know if it's Christian, but
Religious.
I guess yeah, the fact that Jesus was born Jewish, like that's
Yeah.
a that
Like a head
that's a
scratcher. Yeah, that's a head.
that is just
Well,
if I'm an all powerful being, I'm not sure what all other religions were in that exact time frame, right? Let's say there's five other ones that are prominent around the world.
yeah.
And if I'm God, why do I ensure Jesus is born Jewish as a carpenter, right? He's a creator. He
Well,
is the creator.
so
What's up?
I was reading a book real quick just to add to that. The carpenter field is not what we think of today as far as like working hard middle class, because there was no middle class back then. It was
Yeah.
the carpenter was like below like farmhand, like it was like low level peasant type. But
Okay, so
consider, yeah.
no, no, that's a great point. So like why is he born the lowest of the low, right? Why have Jews been looked at for clearly the entire period of history as a problem? And then Jesus is born. And my thinking is, as I'm not God, thinking as like somebody who would create something, if I put something that's so important at the base layer, the soil, if I'm gonna plant a tree, I'm putting it at the soil. I want to bring everything up with that. I'm not gonna place something so important, and let's say Roman Catholics, I guess, let's say they're at the top of this ring, right? At the time, they're the most powerful. I'm not going to place someone I need to touch the lowest people, the lowest life forms, quote
Yeah.
unquote, to bring them up.
There,
I'm
there,
not gonna start it.
there were no Roman Catholics at the time.
Yeah, I don't. I'm
The Romans believed in they had polytheistic belief. I looked this up because I knew you were going to bring this up. They had
okay.
polytheistic beliefs still, like the multiple Roman gods, like the Greek gods.
Okay.
So they still had more of the physical world, each one getting godlike creation, like not one all seeing God. Um, the the reason that Jesus says that he has come back is to fill the Jewish prophecy of the Messiah coming. The Jewish people at the time and the Pharisees that he came to save what I would call Jewish into Christian, the religion, like to set the religion back on track. Um,
Mhm.
because of the man-made like rules and structures that you were saying that were overtaking God's teachings and what God's law wanted to be. So he sent Jesus himself to go down there and give the new teachings and right the ship, right? Like to right the ship and then die for our sins and give us salvation by following his way. So he did that.
Absolutely.
He did that because yes, maybe the Jewish people are recognized as God's people. And then just like a lot of other times in history, God said, they're kind of going the wrong way. So instead of sending water and fire, he sent his son to die for it.
Yeah.
He was the good
Yeah.
God this time. He wasn't the bad,
Yeah.
angry God from the Old Testament. He was the good, loving
Yeah.
God this time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people fail,
Yeah.
and a lot of people in the world fail to recognize that and believe in that. So by their own choice, by their own free will choice, and we don't go around killing people for it nowadays, at least. Now there are a lot of I didn't get into the wars of past, not yet, because they don't really teach you about that. Um,
Yeah.
you got to watch The Chosen. I really do like The Chosen. Jimmy's watched it front to end, and there's new stuff coming out, but I think it's on Netflix or Amazon, but it's called The Chosen. I highly recommend it. It does a very good job of like it's just not one of those cheesy stories of Jesus. It's a really good produced like Angel
I see. Okay, so
Studios. Yeah, the guy you've seen the main character.
I've seen a clip or two.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was a series.
It's a long series, but I mean,
Okay.
I made it to the part where are we at? Um, he's still going town to town and performing a couple miracles. So he hasn't. I'm really nervous to watch the persecution of it because I feel like that's going to hit hard. It always hits me hard. I haven't even seen the Mel Gibson movie. What is it?
Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet. I need to watch that bad. So it's on my list.
Oh,
It's hard to decompress after work to something like that. So, but
yeah,
the Chosen is good because I think they do a good job of respecting all denominations and really just trying to tell the story of Jesus with a little bit of humor, a little bit of humanism, a little bit of like boots on the ground type feel, which is nice, but it doesn't water it down. Definitely, that the words they say are pretty good.
so yeah, that's my think. It's my conspiracy, I guess. There's like that. I think the thing is like Jews think whether they are or not, they think they're the chosen people, and maybe they're right. But just because you're chosen for something doesn't mean like you're good. I'm sorry, like that's just not how things work. Like
Yeah. Well,
just
they
because
still
you're
have
chosen,
they still have the mitzvahs, right? They have to do the mitzvahs, the good things and stuff like that. So they still share a lot of what the Catholics started to believe and still do, but they just don't. They recognize Jesus as another prophet. They don't recognize him as the Messiah. So they're waiting. They're still waiting for the first coming of the Messiah. We're waiting for the second coming. I think.
and I guess also with kind of like the Jesus and conspiracy, there's a guy, old old government guy, maybe he's in CIA, and maybe he like turned Christian, but he said why somebody was asking him why he believes Jesus born and died for our sins, and he was like, if you he said I guess it was Watergate. I can't remember what Watergate was
Nixon. The
Nixon. So
tapping the hotel phones and stuff like that.
um the guy says Watergate is the reason I believe in Jesus. Along these lines, I'm paraphrasing. Watergate is the reason I believe in Jesus because you had like 12 of the most powerful men in the world, and they couldn't keep it secret for 12 hours. But you are, uh, maybe he's talking about the disciples, but he said, there's 10 of the most powerful people in the world couldn't keep a secret for 12 hours, but you had, these people going to their graves for a lie. He's like, I don't think that's not how the world works.
Yeah, like saying that the resurrection was a falsity, that kind of thing.
Was a hoax,
Like that,
right?
like
And they were willing to lie.
I sent you that Onion video of the guys
Yeah,
like, dude,
yeah,
we're gonna pull a prank on the world and
exactly,
we're
exactly.
gonna get killed
Yeah,
for it. Like that's it. That's all I hear
yeah,
now,
yeah.
dude.
Like, well,
Whoa,
come on,
dude,
guys.
there's gotta be something else.
But
No, not worth it.
that same thing, like, yeah, like the evidence around it, or even knowing how people are today. Like when you think about certain things, it's like, man, like, is it 100% accurate? I don't know. There was people in between me and Jesus. All
Yeah,
right, fine. It's not 100%
I,
accurate. What's
yeah.
up?
Well, I like that's like in the Chosen. I didn't really realize when you were talking about like we all know the stories and the miracles now, but like in the Chosen and I guess in the Scripture too, it talks about how Jesus was like, don't tell anyone right now. Like there's a time and place for this. Like don't like he would perform those private miracles with a couple of
Yeah.
disciples there. He wouldn't perform public miracles every single time, right? Like
Okay.
not everyone knew he turned water into
Yeah.
wine when he did it at the time. So um, I just thought it was like
That's
of
good.
him to
I didn't.
do
I
that
mean, I didn't
of
know.
him to do that and then to kind of make a point of it for certain ones um,
Yeah.
to not because if he would have done that and then done it publicly and like it would have been out, it would have been chaos. I think he would have been killed a lot earlier. He wouldn't have been able to fulfill a lot more of what
Yeah.
he did and spread the word naturally like he did. He wanted people acting on faith and acting on trust. And he wanted the
Yeah.
teaching, he wanted his teachings to be why his word got around, not just this like the superficial, but the miracle nature of it to where it's easy to see a miracle and
It's
go,
easy to believe. Yeah. Once you see it,
yeah, yeah,
what's I always mess this one up. Movie quote. Polar
yeah. I knew
Express.
you were going there. I knew it.
Was it seeing is it believing, beving is seeing, or
Yeah, yep.
maybe it's
No,
vice
that
versa.
was
I
right.
always
That
met.
was right.
Yeah. But yeah, that thing that yeah.
Yeah. It's the way it is, man. It's fun to talk about that because it's so like promising. I mean, I always talk about going to church isn't like I don't wake up and go, yes, church. Like it's not a I'm not going golfing or fishing or like it's not like a yes, let's go. It's a you're going to church, you're going to check yourself, and you're going to get better, and you're going to leave feeling a little guilty, or you're going to show up and be there, be like, "Damn, I was a little guilty," and you're going to fix it and right the ship. So it's not always fluffy good, and that's why it's hard to explain that to the like people that come to a Catholic mass and they're like, okay, this is kind of weird. It's ceremonial. It's all like kind of done. But then if you listen to the readings, the Old Testament, New Testament, Gospel readings, and then hopefully the priest does a good homily to tie them all together and give you a lesson, which is the preaching part of it. If all that happens, you should be going, yeah, sometimes it's a cheerful message and rejoice, rejoice, hallelujah. But sometimes it's what have you done? What are you doing? And a lot of people don't like that feeling. I think Catholics are
Oh no.
a little bit more of like that way than they are more of rejoice, rejoice. Like we have our times of rejoice, but in ordinary time when the priest is wearing green, it's lesson learned. You know,
It's a lot of accountability that people hate.
people do hate accountability and they hate consequences for sure.
Yeah.
Bring them on, I say.
Yeah, I definitely in my journey, which started physical, in my journey, I'm a lot more accountable. I'm a lot because, like you said, it's not all sunshines and rainbows,
Yeah.
right? I think Rocky, but
Life ain't always sunshine and rainbows.
yeah, um, but like you said, it's not always good. In Goggins, another quote, he said, motivation isn't the Rocky movie, right? Motivation is a guy locked in a basement, but he has the key, and you have to be in there. You have to sit in there with yourself and realize you're the only person that can help you because you got yourself there. You're in this dungeon because you put on the weight. You got to take it off. Like, sorry, nobody did see. You know, some people you can always find that you are the reason your circumstances are the way they are.
Yeah. Yeah. So I told you we'd end today with the deported, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we're going to deport two types of people at the end of this show, which have nothing to do with what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't think of anything religiously that wouldn't be like bad. So taken incorrectly. I'm not trying to start a crusade, so we're not going to do anything religiously. There's
Oh,
two.
dude, I'm ready. I think that's what I'm preparing for the Crusades, man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I will follow you. Um, there's two types of drivers out there, and there's ones that use their blink or don't use their blinkers when they need to, and then there's ones that use their blinkers when they don't need to. I think both of them should be deported. Because I'm not a perfect driver. I don't use my blinker all the time. If I pull up to a stop sign and no one's there and I'm turning right, I'm just going to turn right after I stop. Okay? No one else needs to know. There's no one there.
You're right. You're right.
I have the wherewithal to see and go, there's no one here.
Yeah.
I want to use my
Yeah.
blinker and turn right after I come to a complete stop.
See, that's where we differ. I'm not coming to a complete stop, but I am using.
I'm not going to admit to any somewhat major traffic violations. A blinker, I don't think it's the law to use your blinker, but it could be interpreted as reckless driving. I think if it results in reckless driving or something that could be interpreted as that, yes. But if there's no one around to see it, the tree doesn't make a sound.
Okay, but if there's no one there, I don't have to stop at the stop sign either.
By all means, that's your choice. You got to look for Tommy on the bike, dude. That was Driver's Ed 101. Shout out Coach Larry Bishop. He was like, check for Tommy on the bike. Check for the bike. They sneak up on you nowadays, man. So those people are going up robots. They come to a complete stop. If you're behind them, or whether or not they're doing the same thing every time. They're not adapting and being efficient, right? That's why they're getting deported. So they're wasting time because they're going to slowly get up to the stop sign. They're going to look.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they're going to put their blinker on, and then they're going to roll. They're doing all the right things all the time. That's too slow. We need to speed that up. The people not using their blinkers, which are just zooming in and out, there's people going, I don't care how fast or slow you're going. If your brake lights don't work and your blinkers don't work or you're not using them, get them out of here. Get them out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I agree.
those are my two deported. I
Well,
have no. Be efficient and be proper. I mean, if you're going to get over moving fast, you better give me a little heads up. Just give me a little beep, beep. Even
yeah,
once or twice. I'm good enough to see that. Once or twice.
I hate people, especially on the interstate, that hit their brake before they turn their blinker on. I don't know if you do this. I hate these people.
What do they do?
Do
Tell
not.
me.
If we're going, what's up?
What they do? What do they do first?
They hit their brake first.
Correct. Yep. Put the blinker on first. Let me know that you're about to slow down.
Exactly.
Yes.
Put your blinker on.
Deported.
I can see your blinker, but if you start pushing your brakes, I don't know if you see something in the road, like you're trying to avoid something.
Correct.
If you hit your blinker, I know you're getting over.
Yep.
You hit your brakes, I'm braking.
I'm slamming. I'm slamming. And that's how that's how those shock waves start. That's the technical term for them, shock waves.
Yep.
And then you pull up on I-4 and you're like, there is nothing here. Why are we all stopping?
There's nothing.
And it's because someone cut someone else off or broke without using their blinkers properly. So people that don't use their blinkers properly, that involves people that don't do them the right way, like you're talking about, don't use them at all, or that use them when they don't need to. Because I'm tired of driving in the middle lane behind a semi in the right lane or some truck van that they just rented for the day, moving vehicle, and they have the left blinker on, thinking they need to get over it. I'm the type of guy in my big truck that will go, I will stop and I will let you over. I'm in no hurry. Sure, go ahead, be safe. And then they're just not paying attention. How do you not know your blinker's going off? Yeah. Mine drives me nuts. That's why I don't use it all the time. It drives me insane here in my blinker.
Drives me nuts. And I definitely a truck guy thing. I do the same thing. I will always let a semi over if he needs to get over.
Shout out truck. I want a ham radio on mine. I want to put it somewhere. I want one so bad.
And I don't know if I said this on here, but I know I said it to my coworker. I was like, I'm at the point in my life, I don't know if I necessarily trust like people that don't drive trucks.
There's definitely a heightened respect. I hate to say it, for men that drive trucks. Now, if you're commercially driving a vehicle, you have my respect because you got the license. You're doing that. That's your job. You like it. But if you're like driving your husband's truck, I'm a little bit more sketched out about it.
I can understand that, but there is nothing sexier than a woman driving a big truck.
When I let Rachel drive every now and again, I'm like, just make sure you brake because her little Ranger stops on a dime. I was like, you gotta press the brakes down. It's a power stroke. You got to make sure you just push it down. Because there's some people that, I mean, this is a whole nother deportation episode, but you brake late when you're trusting everything you have on those brakes working late, not going out. That is a lot of blind trust. That's a lot of blind trust, and you're still accelerating, going to a red. It's red. We all see it's red. I'm not saying hit the brakes. I'm just saying just let off the acceleration.
Let off your gas.
I'm pressing the driver's ed brake on the other side every time I see that. I'm like, oh my god. I'd never pray more than I do in a car of a driver I don't trust, man.
I hate it, especially coming in Bevel out to I-4 when I'm going back to my apartment. From the public stoplight to the very next one's almost it's a mile.
Yep.
It's like right at a mile. And you can see it. If we're going 60 down this road and the light is clearly red, just let off granted, okay, maybe I'm gonna say a quarter of a mile out. Half a mile to a quarter mile out. You clearly see, or no, better yet, you're half a mile out and it's green. It's been green for a while. You know that thing's going to be red when you get up there.
That's the stale green. The stale green Coach Larry talked to us about. It's stale green. Anticipate it.
Right? You drive this road every day. You know it's going to turn yellow. Yep. You're a quarter of a mile out. Get off.
I finally got used to the one on ISB that's at the LPGA road right before 95 when you're coming from my direction. Yeah. It's right there by that Aquarium Road. Like they just put that new light in between LPGA and the Taylor Road or whatever. I just finally got used to it because sometimes it'll sneak up on you. And then like you get through there, I'm getting to work, I'm just in that robot mode, and there's people stopped at this red light. I'm like, oh shit, I need to.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes I'm stepping on that brake, but yeah, man, deported, get them deported, and that's my hats off. Hopefully they don't sue me, but the Matt Walsh show does a daily cancellation. But he cancels people like that. We're getting them deported because secure the border, man.
Secure the border, baby. I am. I was thinking about joining Border Patrol for a little bit, but nah.
Hey, do it, man. I think you're better off here being the co-host. You can be the Cody Bogart show with Jonathan Camp, like how Andrew Schultz show is whatever what's his show called again? Flagrant with Andrew Schultz and was it? It's not Aziz Ansari. It's the other Indian guy.
Yeah.
He's the Dom. He's the Dom. I see that guy as Dom, and we'll
100%.
reach out to Dom's the Bomb. We'll reach out to him.
I was taking a shower earlier, and after, or maybe it was after, who
You're
second?
thinking about
Ryan or
you're thinking about Dom in the shower.
no? But when did Jimmy text first and then Ryan?
Yeah, Jimmy was yesterday.
After
I
Ryan,
think.
okay, and after Ryan had text, I was like, "Dang, it's gonna be me and Cody." I was like,
Bummer.
No, but I was like, we should add Dom.
Yeah,
we should add Dominic
to the religion talk is that'd be a fun one because he was Catholic back in the day, I think. So, one day we'll get him on. We'll get closer, and he's not going to waste his time on some third episode of who knows what podcast. So, I'm still getting my.
If I ask him, he'll come on.
Well, if I asked him, he'll come on. And we still got a long line. We got Austin Bogart. We got his buddy Hunter Worrell. We got Brady Van Hook. I almost called Brady Van Hook today. See what he was doing because he loves talking about the religion aspect of it. Man, I got a running joke with him that I'll break out when we see him again. But he got a little. We got drinking one time and he started talking about fences and we were just like, "What are you talking about, dude?" It was funny. He'll have to tell the story. He'll have to explain his stance because I say, "Dude, fences, man."
Yeah.
But yeah, we did a good job. Put a 2-hour dent on it with a little bit of a technical difficulty in the middle of it, but
yeah,
I enjoyed it, man. Hopefully you can hear me and see me better.
No, it's
I hope so.
definitely a lot better. I just don't know. This is the first time I had this network problem. That's what I'm wondering.
Do I look grainy to you, or do you look grainy on yours?
Yeah.
So I
look fine to me.
Same. I think it uploads fine to each of our websites, and then I'll get the download and they'll look okay. I think it's just like the streaming part is bad. Hopefully.
Yeah.
This website has been having issues I've been seeing on Facebook recently, so hopefully it doesn't screw this up because this was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we went as long as I wasn't even seeing the clock. But I'm surprised we went as long as we did, just us two, and I feel like Joe Rogan with a little bit more hair.
Yeah.
One day it'll be gone, dude. You'll turn this on, and it'll just be off.
All right.
Ready for war.
I think it's funny that, and another thing too. I guess we are coming back to the nuclear family. I would like to think everybody has realized the nuclear family is a good thing.
Yep.
And we're coming back to, there was a time where we all were like trying to get away from our parents, run away, live our own life. But I think, and hopefully this is true, that a lot of us are seeing that the family aspect, the friend aspect, the talking, the having the long talks, it's good for us.
You mean human interaction?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was very prevalent in American culture because we were expanding for so long, right? That's how they were doing it. Like go out, try to find stuff. But like in Italy, it's not uncommon for you to go to a restaurant and eat for 20, 30 minutes and then sit there for 2 hours and talk. Yeah. We don't do that. We don't do that here. Okay, like if we
plan a night out or something, yeah.
We plan a night out. Everybody's in town. We'll sit, but like, that's more of an event. Like that's but for them, it's kind of like it's an everyday for just like bebop.
And not to make this any longer than it needs to be, but the more secluded you are, the more in your own bubble you get, and the bigger your guards get set up, and the bigger your adaptability goes down, and when you do hear another point of view or you do hear another thought, that knee-jerk emotional reaction off the bat just pushes that distance away and puts up your wall. So everyone's
Absolutely.
it's we're like individually social but anti-social. We're not mixing well together. We're not the mixing pot that everyone wants us to be, because
Yeah.
everyone's just in their own ingredient cupboard and we're not soluble anymore. So we need to become more
Nope.
soluble,
Yeah.
or at least like maybe not soluble because we don't want everything. Maybe it's like a good salad where you kick out the stuff you don't want and you put in the stuff you do want. And you put a little dressing on top.
Yeah.
I don't like the sliced tomatoes. I like the cherry tomatoes. So get the cherry tomatoes in there. I'm good to go.
Yeah, I don't eat tomatoes, so
Well,
you can have
did
that
you ever
one.
have any tomatoes over in Italy? Suppose
If charcuterie boards or something like that,
like
yeah, they have
bruschetta.
like cheese and
Oh,
bruschetta, maybe.
uh, the I gotta travel more because I gotta go try other food. Because it was what's the one movie with the James Franco guy where he goes back in time? Have you seen that? Or it's a series. It was released during COVID. I remember I watched the crap out of it. It's about like the JFK assassination where he goes back in time and he has the ability to stop it. He went back to the 50s.
Oh,
He went back to the 50s, and the guy that did it before him and got too old or got hurt or whatever, and he was like, "Hey, this is what you need to do," and gave him all the pointers. He's like, "Have the food. It tastes better. It's way better. It's always." And that was the big point. Was like 1950s food tastes better.
oh, I'm sure. Oh, I don't doubt that at all.
It's crazy. I hope we get back to that soon.
See,
All right, man. Hopefully, we don't come through grainy. That was a fun time. I feel a little bit more blessed. And yeah, I love you, brother. So
yeah, love you too. It's good talking to you.
all three of you guys, including my mom, thanks for watching this third episode of Stogies with Bogies. As always, we're here for life, liberty, and the pursuit of perspective. Y'all take care now.
Respect.
Night camp, man. That was fun.